welcome back to Valve Ventures. This is a sudden and a little bit chaotic trip. It's only real short. I'm only here a couple more days. I had a small emergency on the solar system. There was a software update, and long story short, one communication device didn't want to work and play nice with everything else. So right when we go into the shortest daylight hours and the coldest time of the year, system didn't want to play nice with the generator and charge things. So that's all taken care of. I can give a quick in-depth on that. Give a quick rundown of what I did last month. I planned on showing the plumbing going in for the house, but that turned into be an insane project that, well, not insane, but far more complicated than I expected. So I didn't have time to film it. But anyway, I have small chores, fun stuff that'll make life easier and more efficient and generally faster around here. So today we're modifying an IBC tote to be a fuel storage container, a diesel container. I already last trip put in 150 gallons, give or take. And in the beginning I hauled the transfer pump I've had for a long time and haven't used much. But we're going to mount it to the tank, and we're going to put a dip tube in, because right now I have to open it, drop the tube in, use it, take it apart, make a mess, diesel everywhere. My jacket reeks. Be thankful you can't smell it. And then we can just pick this up with a forklift, put it in the bed of the truck to fuel equipment, take it to the fuel depot to fill up with diesel when I need it, and then I have fuel on site to fill up the Bobcat and the diesel heater and backhoe anytime I need. So let's get started and figure this out. So my thinking, and I may regret it, kind of tends to happen, but anyway, I'm thinking about hanging that pump on the side of the tank over here, which means I want my pickup in this corner, and then the drain is down here. But if I hang it on the side, I have full access to the front and the back with the pallet forks for a forklift or the skid steer. Makes it easy to load it in and out of the truck. The tank shouldn't hang down, or excuse me, the pump shouldn't hang down so low that it hits the bed rails. I think that'll make an efficient package. So the first thing I have to do is figure out where to drill the hole for this bulkhead fitting, and then figure out how long to make the dip tube. So I guess the first thing I have to do is figure out how far in I can reach and make a mark. I've got buckets, those will work. I can reach to about here, so I should be able to grab the hose, pop it up, tighten that bulkhead fitting up just fine there. So I need the depth. For the pickup screen to match to hit the bottom, it looks like about 40 inches should be more than enough. So we'll pull the hose off the pump, shorten it up, and then get that in. And then the fun part of figuring out how to mount the pump. Pull the suction line out. So right now the pump's actually working great, except like I said, it makes a big mess. You end up smelling like diesel, and well, frankly, that's just not a lot of fun. Not that diesel smells bad, but when you're in a nice environment, and it's preferable not to smell like you've been rolling around in a diesel engine all day. Shove that out of the road. String this out. I may end up finding some big heavy brass or cast iron or black iron fittings to put on the end to be a weight, but for now this should work, especially if I heat it up a little. So about here. Make it a little longer is better. Can always cut it. We'll shove it in there and see what happens. Of course, it's wire reinforced, so that's a good thing. Just makes it a little harder to cut. Where did I put my bulkhead fitting? I should have I do not have clamps big enough for 1-inch hose in this kit. Darn it. Alright, that didn't work. Plan B, stole the hose clamp off the cut piece that went to the pump. It's a suction side, so I'll either need to make a run to the store to get a couple more clamps or dig around in my mess of treasures here and see if I actually have any floating around. And then we can try to relax the tubing and straighten it out so it hangs straight. Try to get the curl out of it. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to have to weight it. Alright, what do you think? Should we test it? Well, it'll definitely reach the bottom if we can slack it. So, we have the Sunfire catalytic diesel heater, so I can run it indoors with the door closed. It has 0 emissions, and I can show that later. I have a small air quality meter to prove that. So we'll use that to carefully heat this hose up and try and take some of the memory out of it. Trying to get that curl out of the bottom. A solid dip tube would be really nice and preferred, but I don't have some to make anything to make one out of right now, and frankly don't want to take the time to run around looking for something. Careful doing this. Don't want to melt it. Ouch! Burnt my glove. Unfortunately, my hand was in it. Come on. Actually might work. Do for now. What do you think? Leave me your comments. Is this going to coil on me as it gets cold again? Are we going to be back here this summer putting a solid dip tube in it? What do you think? I'm a big fan of use what I have and avoid runs to town, and for not being a completed shop, I actually seem to have quite a bit of stuff to work with here. So if that's hanging from the top, that actually looks like it would work the way it is. I haven't melted it yet, so some would say, quit while you're ahead. Well, where's the fun in that, right? I think that's going to do it. So, all there is to do now is scratch an itch, shove this in. Oh, I guess we ought to take the lock nut off. Is that about? That does look like a bell washer. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a 1-inch flat washer. So I'll stick this down in the hole. Oh, I guess it'd help if we cut the hole. You did not see that. I'm gonna try to remember to edit that out. Now to find a hole saw or something to make a hole with. All right. One of these carbide cutters ought to work. Oh, that looks like it'll be perfect. Yeah, OD 1 1/8". That's electrical conduit carbide cutter, but a hole's a hole. And at least there's no chance it'll fall off and down into the tank, because, well, that would suck. So now, I'll stick my hand in there, catch as much of the debris. Actually, no, that won't fit. Never mind. Catch as much of the debris as I can without drilling my hand. That'd be great. That would be awesome. I'm gonna pretend I know what I'm doing, and there we go. Let's try this again. Take 2. We'll pretend I wasn't dumb enough to forget to drill the hole the first time. So as long as that washer doesn't fall off, should be good. Yeah. Okay, I'm feeling kind of short right now. Okay. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh, I'm not stuck. You'd almost think I knew what I was doing. So here's what we have. Bulkhead fitting right there, down through the top of the corner of the tank. And let's see if I can get you a shot of inside. There. So we're only a few inches off the bottom of the tank right now, which is fine. Hopefully over time gravity plays its part and helps straighten that out a little bit. Otherwise, while I say I'll probably can put a weight on it, or I'd probably put a weight on it, realistically, probably not. I just keep the tank above that level. Anyway, now the fun part. I want to turn that just a little bit and then tighten it down without losing feeling in my arms. That should work. Maybe back a little bit. I know, I was using the crescent wrench backwards, but that's just because that's the way I picked it up. And yes, there is a right way to use an adjustable wrench, and it drives me crazy to see him used backwards. Yeah, I think we're good. So I'll bring the pump back over, and for now just set it up here, rig it all up, hook it up, I can make sure that's going to draw right. And then it's a matter of hanging the pump on the side of the tote and figuring that out. Obviously it's going to be a run to the store, but I might have enough zip ties to make it work temporarily. Boy, I don't like it when I melt and burn my brand new gloves. Whoops, 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 whoops. No one saw that. Oh, shoot. Lots of people might have seen that. All right. For being a dinky little pump, that is not light. So, as it turns out, kind of funny story about this pump. I think it was 2007, 2008. I had a genius idea to buy a boat down in Hawaii. And of course, like everything else in Hawaii, you can't afford to buy a new boat. So I bought a used boat, taught myself how to do fiberglass work, rebuilt it. Long story short, I needed to fuel it. So I got a diesel engine, all that kind of good stuff. Bought this pump probably in 2010. No, 2007, 2008 for transferring and fueling it. But it turned out to be an 18 gallon a minute pump, half horse motor, which when you have an 81 gallon tank is great. But when your piece of equipment has a, well, like the Sunfire over here, that has a 14 gallon tank, 10 gallon tank, something like that. So when you have a small tank like that, 18 gallon a minute fill rate is actually pretty terrifying. So on Amazon, I ordered a new auto shut off handle because the old cheap plastic one here didn't auto shut off. This blue PVC hose was just crazy. Hey, there's some new clamps I can use. Squirrel. Anyway, this hose, basically, long story short, sucked. But it made the pump affordable when I bought it a long time ago. Fast forward 2024. And now I have diesel equipment and tools and other fun things that require fuel, but they all have smaller tanks. So with the auto shut off, it does exactly that. Tank is full, shuts it off just like at your normal gas station. And this pump does have an internal bypass so you don't burn up the pump. That's really, really nice. So this hose is flexible in cold weather. I'm going to hang it vertically so that this backing plate is vertical but on the side, and then have a coil, maybe a hose reel or something to put the hose on. And I've got a portable fuel station. I just need to put the hose between here and here and do it in such a fashion that it'll reach when I move the thing, which means I really probably should not cut it. So if this is here, in theory, oh boy. All right, I'm gonna have to plan B this. Maybe this pump will end up sitting on top. Something like that. That'll work. Yeah, I'll just rotate the pump for now. Oh, brother, that's heavy. This way, zip tie that down. This feed line can go here. Later on I can get some longer stuff. I think I'll end up wanting to hang it on the side, but maybe not. Maybe it's okay where it is. Anyway, I lost my screwdriver. Let's get these other clamps off. Take all this apart, get that clamped on. So while it's been great to have this old setup, all in all, and in the warmer weathers, or excuse me, the warmer temperatures, it was definitely not quite as big of an issue. It royally sucks up here when it starts getting cold. So I discovered this last month when I was doing the trenching and had a Mini X in here. Figured I'd be a genius. Put this all together, I could fuel on site, and we'd have no issues. But instead I swore I wore about half the diesel that I was trying to pump. This would be a great time for me to put a bit in one of my drills and go for it. It would also help if the gear was in the worm drive. There we go. Is this a metric one or is that going to fit? Oh, dang it. That's frustrating. Alright, a little bit of foul language later. Got the clamps off the old hose. Got them tightened down. Even have some slack to put a trusty zip tie here. Keep that from moving around. Let's get rid of the rubbish hose. And should be able to tidy up a little bit and test it. Alright, found a little power. Untangle this hose. But it's the small things like this that just make projects more efficient and overall more enjoyable, because you're not fighting trips to the gas station to get some diesel. Plus this, since it's all for off-road machinery, I can run non-DOT fuel, so I can go buy it in bulk, fills up in nothing flat, we're good to go. So the only thing I am concerned about here is what that hose does down inside. Does it curl on me and cavitate? Alright, let's not lose our turn on the pump. Where's the pump? There's the pump. I say that works beautifully. I got a leak up here. That stinks, but that's at the handle. That's minor. But yeah, this is definitely going to work. Alright, so now I just need to secure this down better, tighten that up, and then we should be good. Where's my wrench? Alright, took a quick break, fixed the leak real fast, tested it, seems fine. Let's just set this up here. This is a little less tension on it. I may or may not redo how this is mounted and all that fun stuff, but for now, we're good. But this will be nice to be able to toss it in the back of the truck to fill it up and just unplug a cord instead of pulling the pump and pulling everything apart. Just toss it in the truck, drive down the road, fill it up. If I have one of the machines somewhere out in the property, I can run the tank out to it instead of bringing the machinery back. Anything to make progress around here a little faster and more efficient. And I have another thing to do that's kind of a quality of life thing, if you want to call it. What I'm going to try to get done is setting up the side glass for the Bobcat. The T-190 right now has plexiglass side windows that did their job when I put them in, but they rattle. They're miserable, and of course, as you can expect, they scratch and are hard to see out of. But they were nice to have. But now it's time to upgrade. I managed to find a decent deal on a glass kit that'll seal it up, help retain more heat in the cab, and hopefully make it a little quieter in there, at least take a lot of the rattle out. As soon as I finish this up, I'll set up a work table to start assembling those, and hopefully be putting those in this trip. There's one less thing to do and not much less stuff just taking up space in the shop. Okay, so it's the next day. I ran out of daylight and energy yesterday. I did manage to get this cleaned up. Sorry about the noise. Got the heater turned on. Besides being the next day is also about 20 degrees colder. I think I just saw 19 degrees outside, so it's about 19 degrees inside the shop. Fahrenheit. Okay. Running to Home Depot. I found this cheap hose reel, fairly sturdy steel. And this should let me coil up the fuel hose. I'm thinking if I can put it right about here, then I can bolt it to the pump itself, pump housing itself. And then if I need to, take the whole thing off, move it around, do whatever. And at a later time, if I do hang this vertically on the side here, then I can just relocate this. But it looks like I need to trim a little out of the corners to set this down to clear the frame. And it looks like a couple of screws or a couple of bolts, and good to go. So I don't need to trim too much. But this should make a fairly clean installation I can work with. Alright, well, I got my marks. Let's go trim this down. Let's see if it fits. Let's trim this little bit of tab down here off. Then we're good. Yep, I would say that should work pretty well. couple of screws in there for now. So my hands are getting cold. Should warm them up. Yep, we'll grab a couple screws and that should work pretty well. I'll screw that down right now. Alright. That's probably smart to drill a couple of pilot holes real quick. Didn't find quarter-inch nuts and bolts or anything, so I'll just use some big leftover tech screws I have. Hold them in for now. I really like it there. Could just weld it to it. Ooh, it is really cool. Up, I'll take you on a quick tour showing the progress I made this for the actual start of the house here in the shop, getting the underground in. And because of it being so cold, I went ahead and did the upgrade to the Bobcat without filming it, but I'll show you what I did. It should make things really nice. Just get this done. Where's the other screw? Oh, there it is. Well, at the very least, that should be good enough for now. So, let's see if we can coil this fuel hose up. That's pretty much it. Got myself a fuel station now. Should be able to live with that. I might end up redoing or putting on a new pipe to put the nozzle in and putting a hose support up here if I do leave this here. But that should be great. That should make life a lot nicer around here. Well, let's take you on a quick tour like I told you I would. So, what we managed to get done is, because of the amount of work I have left to do in order to get the insulation in, I opted to start working on the house. To do that, I needed to get the underground plumbing in order to be able to pour the concrete to start framing the house on. So last month, I ended up flying up here, had every intention of trying to film it. But of course, it was yet another project that was a bit larger than I expected, but very gratifying. So here we have the stack, the main cleanup for the septic tank. It's been in for a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. What I did is I ended up laying out the lines. I have actually a 3D model drawn for the septic, for the whole drain line system in the house. So running from the stack all the way across over to where the laundry room is going to be at the end of the mudroom or Arctic entry, and then there was a branch line heading straight west that's going to catch the kitchen and the two main bathrooms. with a couple of smaller branch lines up here. They're going to catch the guest bathroom and sinks and toilet, and then one more stub is going to be the tub drain, and the vents will come up through and all that kind of good stuff. So originally I had plexiglass windows here in the Bobcat, and as you can imagine, they were hard to see through after a very short amount of time. Rattled, didn't seal the greatest, and when it's cold outside, you want to trap all the heat inside you can. So I gave up. I actually found a pretty good deal at allskidsteers.com and managed to get the side window kit. So now it's nice and clear, nice and easy to see through. It'll be a lot easier to clean and take care of them. So that should be wonderful. The windows do seem pretty tight. They came with their own tracks, acrylic or plexiglass tracks to put in, but since this machine had factory cab originally, enclosed cab, I opted to use the original rails. And since I used those original rails, I'm not 100% certain it was the best idea. The windows ended up sliding this side, the left side, ended up sliding fairly well. There seemed to be a little bit of bow in the leading edge of the slider window in the front, but it managed to go. This side seems tighter, and then in trying to get it to close and line up, and it being, you know, below freezing out, I managed to crack the push handle. But I have a couple of spares that I can use once it warms up, and I can get them off the old doors. So that should make it a lot nicer running this machine. And other than that, I'm sorry for not getting more videos out. I'll be doing everything I can. I do plan a pretty long trip up here with my son Teague this summer, and hopefully we can get the rest of the windows in. I'll definitely be filming that. I need to put another man door over in the south wall where that Arctic entry is going to be, and I really want, it's about time now, but I'm going to end up pulling this door out and replacing it and changing the swing on it. There's a couple things about this door I'm not most thrilled with, so might as well. So I have two doors over there to create. I'll be pulling this door out, reversing the swing on it so it's in swing, because as you can imagine, you got 2 feet of snow outside. It can be pretty difficult to open the doors. There's the rest of the windows and the empty frames that I'm turning the glass doors into. 6 of those windows are actually awning windows pre-made by Milgard, and the empty custom frames are made by them as well. I have a family member that works there and went way out of his way in order to make this project work, so I can reuse the glazing packages out of triple pane glass door freezer door frames. And just as luck as, you know, it cooled off. Well, I think it might be up to 20 degrees now. When I first got here, it's about 12. Yesterday was in the low 40s. But it's a nice frosty morning, and the view from the window, even without having the lawn cleared out, is just gorgeous. The sun's sitting right at the treetops. Unfortunately, I still have too many tall trees up close, so I'm not getting full power. But we are getting up close to 10,000 watts, and it's more than enough to take care of the charging necessary while the building is idle. This summer, I'll also be putting the 4th array up on the roof and getting that tied in, so that should solve a lot of the issues over the winter. But even as it is, my generator doesn't have to run much at all. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up for this video. I need to get packed up, cleaned up, and ready to jump on a plane. This was actually a fairly urgent trip, a very fast trip. I was having some problems with the generator and charging because there was a software update and a software platform change that didn't get along with one of my devices. I mentioned that earlier in the video, in the beginning. But everything's good to go now. So I'll say thank you. I hope you enjoy the channel. I'm trying to learn as much as I can and grow and I'll keep sharing everything I can every time I come up. But for now, I'm Ryan. This is Val Adventures, and I'll leave you with this spectacular view.